Hello everyone, I'm Ronnie and I'm a speech and language therapist and blogger at multiculturalmotherhood.com. I did a Facebook Live last week and it was really popular. I got a lot of good feedback on that, and people have been sending me a lot more questions that they want answered about speech and language issues, bilingualism and homeschooling. So today I'm just going to answer a few more of your questions. The first question is from Joanna, and she says that her son is 4 years old and she's asking, is it too late to start trying harder with bilingualism for him? She's Polish herself, but she's been speaking to him in English. So as she was born in Poland and she is fluent in Polish, I would say that it's best if she can just start speaking to him in Polish. 4 years old is definitely not too late. Children up to the age of 6 or 7 find it really easy to pick up another language. And after that age of 6 or 7, that's when it starts to get a bit harder. And it gets harder, even harder after the age of about 12, 13. So as he's younger than 6, I would say this is a really good age to start. It's not too late. As you're fluent in Polish anyway, I would just start speaking to him in Polish as much as possible. He might not understand you at first, but I think he will start to understand quite quickly. And even if he doesn't start speaking it, there's no need to worry. I mean, you'll probably talk to him in Polish and he'll just respond in English. And that's absolutely fine, because it will take a while for him to understand. And he needs to understand before he can be able to speak it. So I would say just start speaking, keep speaking, and hopefully he is going to pick it up pretty quickly. I mean, there's a really good book called Trilingual by 6, and that's by a guy called Lennis Stipple. And if you read that book, he actually says in his book that between the ages of 0 to 3, children are 3 times better at language learning, and from the age of 3 to 6, they're twice as good as older children and adults at language learning. So you're still in that period where he is about twice as good at language learning. So it's definitely not too late to start. He might find it a bit odd at first that you're changing from speaking English to speaking Polish to him. And some children, they actually find it quite upsetting. So he may get upset or angry even that you are starting to speak another language to him. So it might be a good idea if you just sit him down and explain to him that you are going to start speaking to him in Polish instead. And that you explain to him it's important to you, that you'd really like him to learn Polish, and hopefully he'll understand and he'll get used to that quite quickly. Apart from just speaking to him, it would be a good idea to maybe teach him some songs, some nursery rhymes in Polish. Children really like singing. They're really drawn to that varied intonation and rhythm of music. So if you know any Polish nursery rhymes, then I would say teach them to him, because that's something that he'll really enjoy. Also, if you have any Polish books, reading is another good way to for language learning. So you can just get some Polish books, or even if you don't have any Polish books, just look through some English books and talk about the pictures, talk about what you're seeing, talk about what the characters are doing, maybe count the number of things in the pictures. There's loads of different ways you can use books for language learning. So I hope that helps. The second question comes from Iduafazor. She says, if toddlers do not speak much, should they go to school? Toddlers don't normally go to school, so I think you mean nursery or preschool. And it doesn't really matter if a toddler's not speaking, because babies who are not speaking, they still go to nursery. So whether a child is speaking or not does not affect whether they go to nursery or not. The people who work there, the nursery workers, they will be able to deal with children, very young children who cannot speak yet. They're trained to do that. so that should be fine. If your child is a bit older and you're worried because they're not speaking as they should, I've got some tips for you now with the next question. The next question comes from Priyanna. I think her name is Priyanna, yeah. And she says her 2.5-year-old says a lot of words, but barely says any phrases. And he will repeat single words, but not phrases. Do I have any tips for her? Well, at 2 years old, children should be speaking between 50 and 200 words. And at the age of 2, that's when they start to also put words together. So they might start at the age of 2 putting 2 words together, and soon after that they might start to put 3 words together. So if they're not putting words together by 2.5, that may be a bit delayed. After the age of 2, children can actually be learning up to 10 new words a day, is what we call the language explosion. So it's a stage where they're just learning lots and lots of new words all the time. If he's not putting words together though, there are a number of things that you can do to help his speech and language development. First of all, just talk a lot. So do what we call the running commentary. When you're going about your day, just talk constantly about what you're doing. If you're getting him dressed, say, put the right arm in the right sleeve. Now we're putting the socks on. When you're making breakfast, say, I'm pouring the milk into the bowl. If you're in the garden, say, I'm watering the flowers. Can you help me water the flowers? Whatever you're doing, any time of day, just keep talking constantly. The more language they hear, the more likely they're going to pick it up. Another thing you can do is talk in quite short, simple phrases. You might actually have to simplify how you speak and speak in a more simple way. So shorten sentences so that you're using less words and it's more clearer for your child. So for example, I see this a lot when children are actually being told off by their parents. So they might say something really, really long-winded like, stop hitting your brother, you're so naughty, why don't you listen to me? Instead of saying all of that, just say something like, no hitting, hitting hurts, please listen. Okay, so you're just shortening what you're saying, and this is making it easier for them to understand, as well as allowing them to be able to pick up on those key words. Another thing that you can do is expand on what they're saying. So, for example, if they're just saying one word, if they're playing with cars, they might say car. And you can say the big blue car, or the car is driving. So I think this would be a really good one, especially for your toddler who's just at the single word level. So whenever he says a single word, you just expand that. So, you know, I gave you the car example. If he says juice, say orange juice, or drink all your juice. So you're just giving him more words and showing him how to put that single word into a sentence. I hope that helps. The final question I've got today is from Liliana, and she has a question about homeschooling and socialization. She says, how can they get enough social interaction with their peers? Well, this is a really common worry that people who are thinking about homeschooling or who don't know much about homeschooling worry about. They worry, how is that child going to get enough social interaction with other people? Well, where I live in Bristol, there is absolutely nothing to worry about. There are so many things organised for homeschool kids. There are so many groups, so many activities, so many meetups. My kids are socialising with other kids every single day. In fact, there's even too much because we can't do everything. There's just so much on. And the thing about homeschooling is that children don't... It's different to school because children who are homeschooled don't just socialise with children the same age as them. When we go to a meetup, there'll be children of all different ages. So your child will be able to interact with younger children, with older children, with adults, And this is something that is really useful because it's more of a natural way of socialization. Just think about yourself in your life now. Do you only talk to people the same age as you? I don't think so. Normally we talk to people of various different ages. We talk to children, we talk to people who are a lot older than us. And this is the kind of thing that homeschooling is really good for teaching. It teaches you how to interact with all different age groups and all different kinds of people. Another thing she says is, how can they learn to defend themselves in social situations? Well, when my children go to groups, then they may sometimes get into disagreements with other people, just like they would probably at school. It happens quite a lot. For example, we went on a camp recently and they decided to form into different groups. The girls were in one group, the boys were in another, and the girls didn't want any boys to play with them and things like that. And I think that's quite a natural thing that all children do, whether you be at school or whether you be not at school. So I just allow my children to kind of try to deal with that situation themselves, try and get them to think about how they could sort out the situation. And if not, then I would just get involved and see if I could help them to sort out the situation. My children are still quite young, so I am around them most of the time. I think it will change as they get older, when I'm not there as much. So I probably can't answer what it's like for older children who are homeschooled. But for me now, I'm around most of the time, and I am able to help my children to deal with any disagreements or anything that they find difficult. So I hope that answers all of your questions, and I will be doing another one of these next week. So if you have any questions, then you can just leave them in the comment below, and hopefully I will be able to get to answer them next week. I have written up a blog post about last week's Q&A. So if you go over to my blog, www.multiculturalmotherhood.com, you will be able to see the video from last week, as well as a written description of all the questions and answers. Also, you can go over to my Instagram and look at all my photos, because I do upload photos every single day. My Instagram is @multiculturalmotherhood. And also, if you like this video, then just like the page and you'll get regular updates of what we're doing. Okay, so until next time, bye!